big, deep breath with me as we get into today's teaching. We are in the Inner Child series, and today I actually have something special prepared for you. I am going to invite you, as we learn today, to invite your own inner child to be present, because what I'm talking about today is for you, and it's also for your inner child, and I'll explain that in a minute. For those of you who are watching today, I decided to share this recording live to my public feed. So say hi if you're here. Let me know if you want information about our Dragon's Lair private community, where I do these weekly teachings private for them, amongst a whole bunch of other stuff like full moon readings, inner child card readings. We do Book of the Month club gatherings, and we read a book together. We do a processing group every month where we process some of the heavier emotions as we go through the steps of reparenting our inner child together. And honestly, it's just a really beautiful place full of love and inspiration as you're on your inner child healing journey. So you can find the link for that in my bio and below this video. For those of you who are joining today, like I said, I want you to invite your inner child to come and sit with us today as I teach you this. Take some big, deep breaths. And if you've never accessed your inner child before, it can be as easy as putting a hand on your heart and belly, breathing in and tuning in to that pure, innocent part of you who maybe didn't get to learn all of the things he, she, or they could have learned about this world that we live in. Today, I want to talk to you and your inner child about what it means to cultivate happiness. I've seen so many people get wrapped up in this deep urgency to be happy, to achieve happiness, or I can be happy when. And it breaks my heart, because what I know that means is that they're missing out on life. I had the beautiful opportunity to be faced with a terminal illness when I was 21 years old. And what that opportunity gave me was the clarity to see life for what it is, which is a moment by moment process of experiences and sensations and opportunities to learn more about yourself. Now, it took me being sentenced to death as a 21-year-old to realize that I wanted to be fully alive. It doesn't have to be that for you. You can make a decision right here in this moment to embrace life for what it is. And instead of chasing all of these things, be here in the now. It doesn't mean you can't have dreams or hope or inspirations. It just means that you're not living in the potential of those. And instead, you're living in the now, creating and moving and walking towards those. We get caught up in this race for happiness. And what we end up do is we create our own suffering, because if we'll be happy when, or if this is what happiness looks like, then we're clearly not happy now. And I don't think that has to be the case. What I think is that we have these really heavy definitions and attachments and labels to experiences that all humans have in life. For example, if you wake up and stub your toe, it could change the trajectory of your day. You could call it bad luck. You can sink into the pain. You can let that pain bring out all the other emotions, and you can get lost in this mental world of woe is me and things don't go my way. Or instead, you can stub your toe and be there in the sensation, knowing that it feels like a lot, honoring yourself in that moment and moving forward. The same is true for the heavier emotions like grief, anxiety, fatigue, sadness, heartbreak. What we do is we resist these, and we search for a better feeling thought, or we search for this needed happiness, or we tell ourselves, because this is happening, happiness doesn't exist here. And instead, if we can pause and understand that none of it's good or bad or right and wrong, it's simply life happening. And it's how we respond to it. It's how we cultivate energy, joy, alchemize all of these sensations that allow us to really live. Nowhere else in the universe and no other life experience other than here on earth do we get to have all of these sensations, all of these emotions, all of these experiences. That's literally why we came here. And yet so many people just want to jump right into this place of pure bliss. But guess what? When we stay stagnant in one vibration of emotions, we are flatlining. We are no longer here in human form. I've worked with celebrities, hip hop artists, and people just living life to their fullest ability, people in suffering, people in anxiety, and all of them, it's the same thing. No matter how glamorous somebody's life looks, just as high as they rise, they feel those deep, low emotions too. It's a matter of, instead of allowing them to throw you off your past and create this internal energy struggle, instead being with it and letting it move through you, surrendering to it, even getting turned on and exhilarated by it. It's when we resist it that things became chaotic. But when we go with the flow, right? Just like you're standing in the ocean, instead of fighting the waves, you're moving under it, you're going with it, you're noticing and intentionally responding. You're not attached to this certain thing to make you happy, because you know that that happiness, that peace, that inner knowing on the inside is where it all lives, where it all blooms. And I think that as we attach ourselves so deeply to what happiness or joy or pleasure or living a successful life looks like, we create a life of avoidance and suffering rather than presence and being fully alive in each moment. I know, believe me, I know that life gets so hard, but it's not getting hard because we are bad or wrong and unworthy. And a lot of times, and the reason I invited your beautiful inner children with you today is because you, this beautiful, conscious, high vibrational being, you know all these things I'm saying are true. And I know you have that hope and that faith, but there is that inner child inside of you that has these deep core beliefs about themselves. And when those core beliefs are not in alignment with your highest self, with your core essence, with that knowing of what you are, this divine being having a human experience, then what happens is havoc is created because there's a war. Your inner child is screaming this, and your higher self desires this, and there's not a balance. And the hard part is your inner child doesn't have that perception of, I'm creating more chaos. What your inner child knows maybe is love looks like pain. Maybe a parent abandoned you or hurt you or betrayed you. And so but you knew as a child, right? Parents are supposed to love you. So if parents are supposed to love you and you left me, then love equals pain and abandonment. And that feels like love to your inner child. And so you're here grasping for this other idea of healthy love, and your inner child is saying, no, that is not safe. Even though you know that this unhealthy love and abandonment isn't what you desire, isn't what you deserve, isn't what is safe, your inner child literally sees that as safety. And so as you're over here trying to create this calm, your inner child feels threatened. And it's in those moments we need to come back and do this reteaching, right? It's in this moment, as your inner child listens to these words, as you open to access the idea that happiness isn't something that we chase, it's something we cultivate. This is how we do the work. We take the time in those moments of triggers, of worry and upset, to come back to the inner child within, to notice what core belief they might be operating from. Do they feel safest in chaos and worry? Because a lot of times, we do feel safe in chaos and worry because at least we know how to manage the outcome, right? In all these different core beliefs your inner child might have, we have to have the understanding and compassion that that's all they've known. They're not wrong for it. They're not bad for it. They're not stupid for it. It's not that they need to be any better. It's that we can teach them a way of being that does create that internal safety. We can teach our inner child how our nervous system responds to people that are safe for us versus people who are hurtful or harmful to us, right? But if your inner child only knows love is pain and they see this hurtful, harmful person, you can see the red flags clearly and you don't know why it's so exciting. You logically can see and feel it, but your inner child is saying that means safety and love to me right now. And so it's having that self-accountability and responsibility to understand that it's not that I can't trust myself. I can trust myself fully because I always follow through with what I believe is safe. It's that my inner child has these core beliefs that it is following. And because I stand in my integrity, I follow those core beliefs. And if I'm not living a life in alignment with what I want, I need to look at the way that those beliefs are showing up for me and choose differently by graciously, compassionately, step by step, reparenting my inner child to see the world a bit differently, to know that love can look like safety and consistency and accountability and honesty, to know that calm and consistency can feel like safe instead of chaos and worry. It's this really beautiful balancing act of knowing what you want, but also knowing where you came from. We don't have to relive all of the things that created these beliefs. We just have to identify the belief that is there. And we do that by carefully observing. But we've also, in this very moment right now, have to stop putting labels and attachments and perceived outcomes to every single situation. Because while we're still in this place of misalignment, doing so creates more havoc for us. You can choose to feel and be happy even in your sorrow. You can choose to cultivate joy and excitement, even in the hardest parts of life, by not attaching to what the different experiences mean for you. Life is hard for everyone at moments, and life is good for everyone at moments. But as we can take a step back, and instead of taking every single hardship as a personal attack from God, and instead embrace that you chose to live this life on earth. And that comes with beautiful, different sensations. And with every sensation, you can learn. And you can also say, okay, I don't really like the sensation of anxiety anymore. I've experienced it. I understand it. I've checked it off my bucket list of earthly experiences. And what I want to cultivate now is a feeling of peace and calm. And so what do? Instead of when anxiety comes saying, no, I want to feel peace and calm. This isn't happening right now. I'm cultivating peace and calm. We say, okay, hey, you're here. Let me sink in. Go ahead and swirl around me. Go ahead and overtake me. I will breathe into you. Embrace and accept that you're here now. And I will listen carefully to what you're showing me, telling me about what my core beliefs are, and what my core actions are right now, and how they are swirling with each other to create this. And as I see that, I can carefully note, right? Not to throw this anxiety away or to push it away. I can carefully note what that core belief is. And as the moment comes, I can tell my inner child, you are safe. I know that you're so used to this feeling of anxiety, and I want you to know that there's a more gentle way. I want you to know I honor all these feels that are swirling inside of you. And I want you to know that it is possible to live a life of peace and calm, and that's safe too. And I'm going to honor you for as long as you want to feel this way, and we can feel it all. And as you breathe and as you let it overtake you, instead of going mental and just being with all the sensations, instead of trying to attach, I have this anxiety because, or I'm not doing this, and all of these different thoughts that come with it, we just let the sensations be there. And then the sensations pass, and we can take a moment to choose something differently. Whether it's nurturing ourselves, regulating our nervous system, going on a walk, sitting down and making a plan for a project we've been wanting to get done, maybe that plan that caused some of the anxious feelings in the first place. Right? And we can take action. What ends up happening is as you stop giving all this energetic mental energy to these different sensations that show up, instead of attaching all this weight and labels to them, you end up having so much more energy to give to the things that you want. I remember I used to spend days in shame. One little trigger would cause my whole body to react viscerally. I would be terrified of all of the things in life. And I would sit there and make it harder and harder and harder through all of my mental energy. I would resist it. I would sit there and say, Nikayla, why are you in the shame spiral? You need to be showing up. There are things you need to do. Why are you so sensitive? Or I would be getting angry at the person that triggered me, all in my head. And I would be feeding all of this energy to this story, which was just compounding it over and over. It was when I learned, right, that feeling that overcame me, that created shame within me, didn't have to be a part of my identity, didn't have to mean anything other than something that was happening in this moment now. I could feel it all, but my logical mind wasn't stirring. And so then I could instead breathe into the moment and say the things and think the thoughts that would slowly, step by step, day by day, gradually change the trajectory of my life by reprogramming my nervous system, by creating new neural pathways, by allowing these thoughts of positivity, compassion, grace, validation to replace the self-deprecating, negative self-talk that was there before. Now, when I have something hit me that feels like it in my body, my very first thought is, wow, this feels like a lot. I love you. I'm sorry you're experiencing these heavy sensations. Let me be with you for a moment. There's nothing wrong with how you feel right now. This is a part of life. And I sit with it and I allow it to move through me. And when it does, I have so much energy to continue to create the things that I want and pour into the people, the ideas, and the creations that I'm truly, truly invested in. If you can take a step back through all of this and notice that as you embrace that life is happening for you, that every single experience can be a learning opportunity if you allow it to, can be an opportunity to feel the depths of your human emotions and see all of the things that you can hold, all of the things that you can create, all of the things that you can face, that it doesn't always have to be hard and it's not always going to be easy, but that you can always find that safety and ground in your center, in your truth, in the wholeness of who you are. That's what this empowerment, enlightenment journey is all about. It's from there you can tap into that divine consciousness to really step outside of this mental chatter and be the observer, knowing you're in this sacred space, this safety, and that these thoughts, these programs coming from your inner child are simply that, thoughts and programs, and they don't have anything to do with who you are. And you always have the ability to change them and choose differently. I know this work is so hard and it's so heavy, and I promise you, I've been in that place before where everything feels like shit and you don't want to be the one to do the work, to be the one to reparent you, to nurture you, to validate you. But I can tell you this, you are the only one that's coming to save you. Other people can be there in support and in love for you, but in the end and in the always, what you have is you. It's you that's going to pick you up off the floor. And I know you're tired. I know it hurts. I know it's hard, but it's not always going to be this way. The hardness and the hurt and the heavy come from all of these external attachments and ideas about the things we feel. And you can, in any moment, choose to allow a different sensation to move through you, or your ability to respond to the current sensation, to be less mental and more of compassion and feeling. And I'm right here to support you every day. I will show up here weekly. You will be in my thoughts and prayers, and I will be envisioning you in your highest, walking through life, allowing it to move through you in your power, in your happiness, in your joy. But today you've got to commit to doing this work for yourself, to being the parent you always deserved and never had, not because your parents were wrong or not good enough, simply because they didn't have the knowledge, the ability, the capacity to show you these things. And now you have that opportunity to do it for yourself. I hope that as these words moved through you, you could feel that sense of aliveness, that your inner child could hear that there are different pathways, that you are always worthy, and that all of the things that are going on in your life aren't a punishment or a personal attack. They're simply life happening, and it's how you respond that makes the difference. I hope you feel the eternal love pouring through you today, and that you know deep down inside that you are worthy and sacred of ease and pleasure and joy. And I'm always here praying and envisioning your highest. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for joining me as we continue on this inner child learning series. I love you lots. Have a beautiful day.